so I'm jumping in. I felt drawn to the Native Spirit deck to begin our morning. Two cards popped out at the same time, so I'll read both because they're definitely stuck together. The first is Eagle Medicine. And eagle is very much like the condor in Peru. The eagle in North America is a symbol for the creator. So it's a very powerful bird, very magical energy. And whenever eagle shows up, it's usually symbolic of needing to connect to your source energy or needing to connect to the creator, whether it's through prayer or through ceremony or just asking for help or asking for clarity. So if some of you have been struggling, if you're confused in your life right now, if you're feeling really ungrounded, if you're getting kind of caught up in, and for those who live in Ontario, there's a lot going on right now. It's very jostly energy. So Eagle Medicine is coming up to remind us that of our source, of our spiritual connection that we always have, even if we feel we're not connected to it. And it's asking us to re-plug into that energy. Okay, so plugging back into your source energy. So for those healers out there, it might mean getting on the table, doing a trade with somebody, or doing some self-care, giving yourself a healing session. Maybe connecting to nature or doing some kind of ceremony to connect to spirit, to connect to that source energy. Okay, because it's showing us it's there right now, and oftentimes we can see that bigger perspective or that bigger picture when we connect to source. It's easy to get bogged down into the tiny, minute details of our lives and get overwhelmed. We're being asked to pull back our vantage point, connect to spirit, and ask for clarity there. So that card came up. The other card that came up was the Elder card. These two were stuck together for those who just popped on. And this card is about that wisdom of our elders, the people that have been on the planet a lot longer than we have and have lived through, history. We read about it, but they've actually lived through it. And this card is coming up because it's asking us to look to the past for how to proceed into the future. So it doesn't mean about repeating everything that you've done in the past, and definitely not repeating things that you feel are past mistakes, but it's about pulling that wisdom, what we learned from the past, and carrying that forward into the future. So this card is a reminder to not discard those things you learned. Don't bury them, don't ignore them, don't pretend they didn't happen. You need to take that wisdom forward to the future. That's going to help you. Okay, so this is especially for those of you who are confused right now, not sure what direction to go in. You need to connect to spirit, eagle, that source energy for that medicine, for that health, and then also reference your past. And this card can also come up too when it's taking the advice of somebody, of an elder or a wise person in your life, a teacher, somebody who guidance you trust. So those cards have come up to help you find clarity and balance. And then we're going to go to our next deck. I haven't pulled from the mermaid deck in a while, and this deck definitely wanted to come this morning. It was like shouting. So I know some of you are connecting from all over the world. Right now in Ontario, we have a lot going on politically and just energetically. I've really been feeling it. I was away last week in Costa Rica and Florida for a couple days, and I came home and it was like hitting a brick wall of stuff. So I've been processing through it, but it's been pretty heavy. And, I don't want to make this political tea and tarot, but I'm not in alignment with a lot of the things that are happening on the planet right now. So just trying to kind of negotiate that reality as well as hold space and still send love energy out there. So this card is coming up. Recognition is the word on the card, but I'm more drawn to the image here and the energy of this image, which is about recognition to a degree, but this is about recognizing yourself and looking in the mirror, looking into your eyes and realizing who you are, not as a face, not as a personality, not as a body, but as an energy and as a force to be reckoned with. And to remember your power, that you do have that power, that you're not powerless, that you can actually use your energy and affect change in the world. I think what's happening right now across the board, across the world with just the virus in general, is that we've been really disempowered. We felt victimized by things in the unseen and have had trouble negotiating life, and it's affected so many things. but we really are more powerful than we realize, and our thoughts really do affect our biology, right down to our immune system. So it's really important to get this mind and this energy as good as you can, because it will definitely help you on your journey. And this card is about recognition. It's about recognizing how powerful you are and remembering that, even when you're in a world or situation sometimes where it's asking you to forget those things, okay? So we need to remember that we're powerful as individuals, spiritually powerful, from a heart center, lovingly powerful. And when we collect together and we have good intentions and we have, what's the word I'm looking for? When it's bigger than just yourself, when you're of service in a larger way, and it's not just about you and your needs, but it's about the collective, it's about the whole, then that is always supported by spirit. So this card is also coming up for those of you who are feeling really alone right now. Try to find somebody else who is like-minded, similar energy, and spend some time with that person if you can, or at least have a conversation with them just to kind of recharge your internal battery, because the isolation that we've all experienced over the last almost 2 years now is really not natural or normal for us, and it can be very damaging to our psyche and our physical body. So it's really important to reach out to those individuals that you really feel a connection to, that you have a strong love bond with. Maybe you're not able to see all of your friends and family. Maybe this is just 1 or 2 people just to kind of get you through the next little while. But that card is asking us to recognize our own personal power, but also when gathering with like-minded individuals, like we create an energy field, we create a force. So when I teach Reiki and when we do Reiki shares and when we send Reiki out to the universe or prayer or love it to other people, that energy is so strong because we're all doing it together. So we have to remember that, yes, we are alone and we can do wonderful things by ourselves individually, but collectively we are so much greater, okay? But it also, there's a dark side to that, where collectively, if we're all focusing on fear and disaster, guess what we're creating, right? More of that. So we really need to shift that energy. So try to find people who are going to lift you up and help support you right now, okay? All right. So we're going to the Work Your Light Oracle card deck, beautiful deck by Rebecca Campbell. And I always forget the name of the girl who illustrated it. I'm going to the box. That's going to bother me. Hold on a second. Danielle Noel. Yes. I knew it was Danielle. I couldn't remember her last name. Okay. This is one of my favorite decks. I don't know. I just really love the energy of this deck. Lemuria, creating heaven on earth. It's happening. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. It doesn't feel that way right now. To me, I'm kind of like, oh, it's happening. Okay. Sorry, guys. It is happening. But sometimes things have to fall apart before they can be built. And sometimes things fall apart and there's a gap where nothing's built and you're cleaning up the debris of what fell apart. And I feel like we're in that right now. We're thinking about the rebuild, but we're nowhere near starting to rebuild. We're still in the falling apart stages of things. And some of us are getting ideas of the future and we're working towards it, and others are stuck in the past and we're still looking at everything that's broken and fallen apart. So we're all in different stages in this, but we are moving towards that new reality. We are moving towards that heaven on earth, or that shift. So, and this is, and I hate that we have to have this process, believe me, but just think about your life. Like, think about a moment in your life in the past where things just completely fell apart, like absolute disaster. You didn't think you were going to survive it. It was horrible, right? And then where you are now. And when you look back at that time, things did get better. Or maybe it was a huge shift and it was awful that you went through it, but you needed to have that experience because that got you to where you are now. So I feel like collectively we're in that right now. We're in that energy of like the Tower card in the tarot, where everyone's jumping out of the burning building and screaming their heads off. It's disaster. But we are shifting into that new reality where we can rebuild on a better foundation, and it will be a more solid structure because it's literally been razed to the ground. So The card that comes after the Tower in the tarot is the Star card. It's all about balance, renewal, rebirth. That's the energy we're moving into. So try not to focus too much on what's falling apart and what's disaster. And even if you can't see the future forward right now for yourself, just try to keep your energy in a balanced space or as high as you can. All right. Getting into nature helps me. I've shared that an awful lot. So if you have been struggling lately, getting into the woods, sometimes just sitting by a tree or laying on the grass or laying on a beach is a really wonderful way to get your energy back on track. But definitely using your resources, using your healer friends. Maybe it's time you do a trade with them and you get on the table or have someone do a session with you. So I'm going to the Angel card Oracle next. Kyle Gray's cards, beautiful juicy orange color. I don't have any other cards that are this wonderful vibrant color on the other side, so kudos to him for not being afraid of color with his Oracle card deck. And let's see which one wants to pop out. You know, it's funny, I have to, I had like 6 cards jumping out, and I'm like, we only need one. Just need that one. Okay, here we go. All right, so this was the biggest one because there were a bunch in that deck that wanted to jump out, and the biggest one that lit up the strongest was Trust the Universe, which I think we're all being asked to do right now, and it is hard to trust sometimes, but things are going to be okay. It doesn't mean we sit around and do nothing. If you feel you need to do something, like if you feel you need to take action or speak out or do whatever it is you need to do, then do it. But we also have to trust the universe that everything is happening for a reason and that there is a greater purpose for some of the things that we're experiencing right now. And sometimes it can just be being aware of things, having that awareness. I've been struggling with I don't want to get too much into this, but with how people are treating each other right now is really upsetting to me. Yeah. I'm not going to cry today. Okay, we're going to the Magdalene Oracle. Just the comments on Facebook. I haven't been able to be on Facebook. Not comments on my personal page, but just people being mean to each other. I'm like, guys, we've all been through a lot. Like, just stop. But anyway. All right, Magdalene Oracle. Oh, I'm emotional. We can blame it on menopause too, because that's happening. For those out there that get hot flashes, I feel your pain. All right, so Serendipity is the next card here. And this is a card about acknowledging your intuition. This card is for those of you who are intuitive and are walking that line of really wanting to connect, but also being terrified to connect at the same time. Okay, there's nothing to be afraid of there, but you're walking this balance, and Spirit is saying it's time for you to actually step into your power and step into that intuition, because even as you move through your fear, you won't be afraid of it anymore after that. You might have a couple experiences that scare the dickens out of you, or kind of like, whoa, what happened here? But after you experience that, you'll be on the other side of it. So find whatever support you need to help guide you through those initial steps. But we're being asked to really use our intuition right now more than anything, more than the thinking logical mind. And intuition really is a combination of the feeling that you feel in your heart and your intuitive mind. So there is a place for our logical mind. It's a really beautiful part of our brain that loves numbers and sorting things out and like looking at pros and cons and all of that stuff. But we're being asked by Spirit right now to kind of go more into that intuitive space when making decisions, because that also takes into consideration your logical mind, but also what your heart wants and where your soul needs to be. So for those of you who've been dancing around this using your intuition, you're really being asked to go there. That's going to help you more than anything right now. If you've got questions that you need answers to, you're not going to find the answers in your usual way. All right? Now, if you don't use your intuition, that's okay, because the universe will find a way to get you the answer. Somebody will come up to you on the street and tell you something random, or a book will fly off a shelf at you, or something else will happen to get that message to you. But this is Spirit saying you are intuitive. You need to start using it and trusting it. It's time. Stop putting it on a shelf. These days we're in are the times where you need your intuition the most. All right, I'm going to the Oracle of the Fairy cards next, and we'll see what we have here. Oh, okay. Well, this is a fun one. This is about getting into nature and actually looking for fairies, or looking for the energies, or connecting to those nature spirits that are always around us. And those energies exist in a dimensional reality that's right next to ours. It's really easy for kids to pick up on those energies because they're very loose in their disbelief, I guess. And as we get older, we hear and learn, oh, that's impossible, that's your imagination, that's this, that's that. But if you go into nature and spend some time there meditating and set the intention that you'd like to connect with some of the nature spirits, some of the fairies, some of the spirits that support the plants, some of the divas, just set that intention and see what happens. And you probably will have an experience, whether it's through an animal or an insect or just feeling the energy of the place. Maybe you'll have information just pop into your head, or a clarity, or a really beautiful feeling in your body. But Spirit's asking us to go with intention into a natural space and actually ask to connect to these things. So give that a shot over the next week or two and let me know what happens. All right. I'm going to the Spellcasting Oracle next. So, My house feels really quiet today. My son moved back to school yesterday, and as much as, he's dirty and noisy and uses the internet, we probably will have the clearest internet connection today because he's not gaming at the same time. My house feels empty and weird. It's so weird. Okay, so I just pulled a card that says freedom, but if you look at the image, it's somebody in a cage, like not feeling free at all. And this card is coming up to remind us that we are the gatekeepers here. We're the ones who lock the door. Nobody else is stopping you from doing anything right now. Just yourself and your attitude and your perception and your willingness to look outside of the box or outside of what you know. So if you're feeling trapped right now, or if you're feeling like you don't have freedom to do what you want to do, you need to really look at that and look at where you're stopping yourself. And maybe it's with your excuses. Maybe you're arguing for your limitations instead of taking steps forward to make change. Okay, but we are responsible for a very large degree to the level of freedom we're feeling in our lives. So Spirit's not trying to be mean to us, but they're saying, you know what, take responsibility. Nobody's locked you in a cage. Nobody's trapped you. Nobody's telling you you can't do things. You have more control than you realize. And this is really interesting because of what's happening in Ontario right now. A lot of people feel like, some people feel like our freedoms are being taken away and restricted, and other people are fine with that, and some people think none of this is happening. But it really is an internal battle as well. There's always a way. There's always a solution, and there's always a way around something or over something or underneath something. There's always a way. So Spirit is asking us to remember that we have more power, and we are the ones that decide this. Nobody else. So remember that. All right, let's go to this deck, Divine Guidance, Fractal Cards. Let's see what we got here. I'm still like coming back to Canada. I've been home for a couple days now, but I feel like I'm still kind of, I don't know if you guys find that when you travel to another country, that has a very different energy. And when you come back home, it takes a while to acclimatize. So I still feel like part of me is in Costa Rica, part of me is here, part of me is in Florida. It's a very strange feeling. All right. Oh, love this one. Okay. And I know this one is actually called Birth of Angels because I've pulled it before in the past. But this card is reminding us, it's like that first card I pulled of the eagle and creator. We are part of the whole, okay? It's not that the whole split up and we're each lesser than the whole. It's more like, this is a terrible analogy, but does anyone remember the Gremlins movie where they would get wet, I think, and then multiply? It's like that. Each gremlin is still a gremlin, but there's more of them. So we are of the source energy, but we are all just as important or just as powerful as the original source energy. So it's not like source energy split into 100 pieces and each piece is missing things. We have everything. We're part of this. And Spirit wants to remind us again of our energy, of our power, of our ability to create, just as the initial energy of creation created the earth. We have that same ability to create. In fact, look around your room right now. Everything in it was created by somebody. It started as an idea, and then it became made, whether you made it yourself or someone else made it. The only thing in your reality that you didn't create were the natural things, likely like the trees in your yard and whether you planted them, but nature created those things. So we are creators. It's in our blood, it's in our energy, it's in our soul, and we're meant to do that. And when we get stuck in life and when we get stagnant is when we're not creating. And it doesn't mean that we're all supposed to be artists or actually making things, but we're constantly creating our reality with our thoughts. We're creating our health with our choices and our thoughts and our actions. We're creating where we go forward, how we go forward in our life, who we go forward with, where we live, how we live, all those things we're constantly creating. And we might feel like sometimes we get stuck from other people, situations, things like that. But in truth, we always have what we need to move forward and to start going in a direction, in that trajectory that we want to take. And so Spirit's reminding us of that. So I think some of us, more than just me, we're feeling a little stuck right now and maybe a bit powerless. And so that's why I think the cards today are reminding us of our strength, of our ability here, and not to forget that, but to start to use it. So if there is something in your life right now you're not happy with, you might not be able to change it overnight, but you can start taking baby steps towards getting yourself in a direction that feels less awful, okay? If it's with your health, maybe it's baby steps in changing how you eat or seeing a naturopath or getting help there. If it's with your relationships, maybe it's having discussions with your partner or the people in your life that you're struggling with. Maybe it means leaving a relationship or changing one. With work, maybe it's about changing how you work or changing where you work. Or maybe you're home, maybe it's time to move. Maybe you need to, do something to freshen up the energy in your interior space so it feels more supportive for you. So whatever it is, you can make baby steps in any aspect of your life to start to get you to where you need to be. It doesn't have to be big sweeping changes, okay? You can start small, and by doing that, you'll start to feel a bit better because you're like, okay, well, I might not be able to control the outer world and what everyone's doing out there, but I can clean out this closet and make it tidy, and that sounds silly, but it actually does translate into bigger things once you get going with the smaller things. So definitely keep that in mind. All right, where did this one come from? Okay, so we're universal love. Let's go there. It's a good deck. Oh, I had a miracle happen this week. I managed to get a collar on my cat because he keeps sneaking outside. So I'm like, you can't do that unless you have a collar on and your name tag. And he actually tolerated it. I was very surprised because my cat's a bit of a wild child. I tried putting a harness on him when he was a kitten and he was not happy. All right, okay, this is interesting, guys. So, some of you might be having a fun week. Tantric union, that it doesn't necessarily mean a physical union with another person, but very often does. So some of you single people, maybe you're going to find that person. But this is also about the union between the masculine and feminine and the balance within yourself as well. And that energy, that balanced energy. So it doesn't necessarily mean an intimate physical encounter with another person, but it often does. So keep me posted. So I'm not going to tell you what happened last time I pulled that card. So you can guess. All right. I don't know. I'm a bit weird today. I'm off the coffee. So if you're like, what's going on with her? She's a bit jet lagged and she's off the coffee. Okay, so this is the Goddess Power Oracle, and by Colette Baron Reed. It's a great card deck. And also my house feels so quiet. I mentioned that already. It's so weird. And I pulled the Stillness card, which also makes me think of quiet. And I guess that's what's happening for me, and maybe for some of you, it's being okay in the silence. It's being okay in the quiet. You don't always have to have noise on in the background or somebody banging around. But it is about the stillness of going in within as well. And I find that in my life when I feel chaotic or upset, my first thing that I like to do is avoid it. And so I'll go into busyness or distraction mode. But really what's happening is Spirit wants us to just sit, breathe, get quiet, go within, feel the emotion, release it, get clarity on what's happening, connecting to that intuitive part of our mind. But as human beings, sometimes we go into avoidance first. And that's okay, because eventually we will come to this stillness. We will come to the going within. It's only a matter of time. But just think about how easier that will be to go there first instead of doing all the creative things to avoid going there. I don't know why sometimes we're afraid to go within and to get that clarity. It's very strange, because I talk to a lot of people and like they'll do anything before doing that. They'd rather clean the kitty litter or scrub their bathroom. But we are being asked to do that. We are being asked to go within and to really sit with ourselves to find the answers. So definitely try that, especially if you've been struggling. Try to get rid of any exterior noise, any exterior distractions. If you can't do that in your home, get outside, go somewhere where there isn't really a lot to distract you. I'm lucky that I have a wonderful backyard where I live, but I find that I don't fully relax back there, because when I'm back there, I'm thinking of, well, I should be weeding my garden, or I need to be doing this. So if you're like me, then you might need to go for a walk in the woods or find a park or go somewhere else where you don't have things to do. And then you'll be able to find that silent moment. Okay. So this is pulling a card from the Light Seers Tarot, which is one of my favorite decks. Okay, so guys, somebody's having a love connection this next 2 weeks. I just pulled the Lover's card. And again, it's not always another person. It can be that balance between the aspects of yourself. So for those of you who've been feeling out of balance, the next 2 weeks, you're going to feel more of a balance there. But for those of you who are looking for love or romance or your partner or your soulmate, that's coming. It's coming. It's getting really, really close. So definitely put that energy out there. Ask for help on that. Like, send a prayer out to Spirit for that if that's what you're looking for, because you're in the energy of that right now. So the chances of that connection happening are great. And this is also good for those of you who are already in a relationship or in a partnership, and you might feel like a little bit not quite in alignment with your partner right now, or not super connected. You're going to find that will get better over the next couple weeks. So whether that's because you're more physically connected, or you have a deep conversation that connects you on more mental, emotional, spiritual level, whatever it is, but that energy is with us right now. So make the most of it for sure. All right. Sacred Destiny Oracle is our next deck. Okay. Wow. So this card's, the word at the bottom is voyage or journey, which might mean for some of you that you're planning a trip or you're going on a journey, especially one over water. This could also mean going on a journey within. For those who don't know, I teach shamanic journeying, and so I teach students how to go journey within, which can feel like going on an external voyage to another land, but they're journeying within themselves to find information or energy or healing. So whether it's an external journey you're going on or an internal one you're going on, this card is coming up to say that it would be good medicine. So whatever one that you're craving, maybe you do need a change of scene. And it might be going just on an adventure, getting in your car, going on an adventure for the day, or planning a longer trip. But it's showing that it would be good. It would be refreshing. It will, like for your soul, like kind of fill it up if you feel depleted. So definitely having an adventure of some kind, or an internal adventure of some kind if you can't get out there. But it's definitely, water is connected to this. So if you're going, I would say it's probably by water, or you're maybe flying over water, definitely near water. And for those other water signs out there, I don't know if you feel it too, like my astrological sign is Cancer, and I always feel better when I'm near water. I don't even have to be in it, but if I'm near water, I feel like I'm more just balanced. So it's interesting. Even a bath, a good bath. All right, so this is a beautiful animal deck. And actually this is the deck I'll be going to on Wednesday. Every week I have 3 cards, and you pick a card, and this will be the deck that's featured this week. I try and rotate it every week because there's so many wonderful decks. As you know, I have a lot of them. Okay, so we're getting the koi fish, which is coming up with the message that there's always enough. And with koi fish, when it comes up for me, it usually is referring to physical abundance, so money. So if you've been struggling with money, if you've been worried about it, that there's not enough, do you have enough to make ends meet? Do you have enough to do what you want to do or need to do? The message from Spirit is coming up saying there's always enough. But I'm also picking up on a message from this card that's saying that it's okay to ask for help in this. So if you've been struggling with your finances, or if you're not sure what choices to make, then reach out to somebody who knows. There are experts in this field. There's financial planners. There are people that are amazing at investing. Maybe find a friend of yours or family member that is good with their money and has had success, and just talk to them and say, like, what have you done? Like, how can I learn from you? Can you send me to somebody who can help me with my financial choices? Because oftentimes, if we're not happy where we are financially, it's because of the choices we've already made, and maybe we're using limited thinking, and so we do need to ask for help or just get a different perspective. So this card is reminding us there's always enough, but there's an opportunity for more than enough, but you might need to go outside of this box and just reach out to other people to get some help moving in that direction. So it's about gathering information, and it's also about being willing to look at other resources that maybe you've considered in the past. So, all right. Well, I think I'm going to pull from the Romance Angels deck, because I feel like some of you, that's on the mind because of some of the cards that have popped up. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, the last couple of years has been a bit rough. You know, I haven't spoken to anyone who's sailed through it and been like, yeah, it's been fantastic. And we've all been challenged in our own ways. Some of us financially, some of us with career, some of us with relationships, some of us with our mental health, spiritual health. So it's affected everyone in different ways. And I pulled the Getting to Know You card. So this card comes up usually when somebody's just meeting someone for the first time. And this card is coming up to remind you that it's not a race to the finish line, okay? You might be so excited when you meet somebody because maybe you've waited 10 years to meet that person, and you're like, I want to jump in and move in with them and do all this stuff, and Spirit's saying, yes, that's great, but take your time getting to know that person. If that is your lifelong person, you don't have to rush through the first part. This is the fun part, the getting to know each other and take your time. Like, you don't have to rush the finish line here. Enjoy every moment, okay? And just take your time. So this is a card for those of you who are prone to rushing in, I think. That Spirit's saying, just slow down and breathe and take your time and enjoy every moment. And don't worry about the end result. You'll get there. It's not a race, okay? You don't have 6 months to live. You have longer to live than that. You have lots of time. So, all right. I'm pulling from the Wild Offering Oracle, which is mostly words. And I think I'll pull one more card after this, and then we'll go to the angel cards. So this card is about understanding and feeding our inner child. And the inner child is a big thing. Like, you could spend years working with your inner child. But I'll just give you a quick tip for your inner child. So your inner child is a part of you, an aspect of yourself that you can kind of visualize as a younger version of yourself. So example, for me, I see myself as a 4-year-old, and then I have a 13-year-old and 17-year-old seem to be the ages that pop out. And usually there will have been something that happened to you at that age that was maybe traumatic or scary or, you know, or needs to be healed. And so you as an adult now can go back to yourself in that time and place and just let that child-like part of you know you're there, like, for them. So I could go back to my inner 4-year-old and say, you know, I'm here, I'm an adult now, I'm coming back, I'm going to take care of you, I've got you, you know, and that will settle her down or make her feel safer. Or, you know, you can even connect to an inner part of yourself and say, what is it you need for me to do in order for you to feel happy? And my inner 4-year-old likes to swing on swings. And so I used to accommodate her by every time I'd go for a run, I'd find a park on my way home and go for a swing on the swings. I'm sure my neighbors thought I was nuts, but whatever, it's fun. And she was happy. So you can work with your inner child in that way as well. Now, this is just a very quick, not a course on working with your inner child, but it's good to connect to that part of yourself and just see if that part of yourself is okay or needs anything. Because even if you're not aware of your inner child, if your inner child's out of balance, it can absolutely wreak havoc in your adult life. It can create things like incredible fears or apprehensions about things, or just, you know, prevent you from taking action when you need to. So it is good to be aware of those inner parts of yourself that have resistance or have fear or are, you know, unhappy. So, all right, last card of the day from the Starseed Oracle, the Void of Creation. Good one. One vast nothing materially, but all things potentially. So it's nothing but everything at the same time. And when this card comes up, this card is always a message to me to remember this, that I'm constantly creating my reality with my thoughts, with my energy, with my focus. So I like to imagine that I have like a flashlight or a headlamp on, and whatever I'm looking at is lit up and expanding. Okay, so if I'm looking at anger, judgment, disaster, horrible things, guess what's expanding in my reality? If I'm looking at my relationship and looking at everything that's wrong with it, guess what's expanding in my reality? But if I'm looking at things through the eyes of love or potential, or how can I change this to make it better, or clarity, or just asking in a general way, what do I need to know? Guess what's expanding? So we have to be aware of what's in our line of focus right now, because we are creating, and Spirit wants to remind us how powerful we are. That seems to be the overall message for today, that you are powerful, that you are not trapped, that you're not in a cage, that you have more freedom than you're aware of, and that a lot of you are going to be having romantic times with your partners. Okay, let's go to the angel wing cards for the end, where I pull a gold wing, silver wing, and a 2-circle balance card. We'll see, which is called the key card. Let's see what we get here. All right. Gold wing, silver wing, double circle. So, unearth the treasure within you is the message from the silver wing angel. Okay, that going within again. And smooth work or home relationships. So if your home or work relationships are a little jostly right now, give them some time and energy and effort to smooth those out. And the key is Monday and hope. So it's Tuesday, so 6 days from now, hopeful things will happen. I hope some things shift in Canada and feel a little less oppressive. I don't know. Anyway, I'm hopeful. I'm going to put my energy on the good stuff. I hope that all of you will too. Thank you for joining me this morning. You can catch the replay of this on Instagram or on my website. I still have to upload the last 2 tea and tarots on my website. I'm a bit behind because I was traveling. I will do that soon. And feel free to reach out to me through my website or Instagram. And also if you want a personal one-on-one session, you can book that through the link in my bio. But until then, until we meet again, enjoy. Also to my trailer, I'm still working on it. It's been very slow, but I'm hoping to have it done at least a month from now so we can start doing tea and tarot back in the trailer. So it will be very exciting. I'll show the before and after pictures and we'll unveil that. Also too, I might do tea and tarot in the trailer in person for those who are local, just for a fun experience. So, all right, take care everyone. It was great to see you. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of summer. Just squeeze summer out. Okay, bye everyone.